I was actually going to a rave and we ran into a group of guys who had made a lot of money from a cryptocurrency. So I'm Leah, I am 28, I'm Irish, but I live in London. I'm an ex-secondary school teacher, but now I am a freelance model, content creator, and I brand manage for an influencer agency.
I'm Ben, I'm 50 from Surrey. I now do acting work and I'm an ex-London Heathrow airport worker.
Nice to meet you.
And you? Right, let's have a look what questions we've got. So the first one for you. What's the first thing you brought this year?
I booked a trip to Milan for my birthday. I did it New Year's Day because I wanted to start booking holidays. Trying to be good with shopping sales.
What's your take on investing?
I think it sets you up long term in the future. I think money can be used as a tool and investing gives you that flexibility.
I've looked at it as though investing is really good so that later on in life I can really enjoy retirement and everything else, and it just gives me those choices and options.
Making your money work for you.
You're laying on that beach in the Maldives, the money's just coming in.
Yeah, that's the plan.
Why do you invest?
For financial security, I guess. I'd love to be financially free. That's like a thing that everyone wants on the internet now, and passive income, and it's kind of a buzzword that, but I think that is important. Just setting you up for the future. I'd love to be able to be flexible in terms of like where I could live, and like I feel like if I have that financial stability, that makes that possible.
So you've also got money coming in later on when you're not working and you don't need to work to enjoy it as much as you're enjoying life now, I guess.
Has the culture around investing changed over the years?
Definitely, there's a lot more out there now. Younger people seem to focus a lot more on social media, so they see a lot more of this.
When I was teaching, I taught in an all-boys school, and they were secondary school age, but they all were like looking at their phones at like trading, like the stock market, and they all had like information about that, which is quite wild, because I think maybe like 20 years ago that wouldn't have been the case. They wouldn't have that knowledge. So I think social media and everything's kind of really shaped how people view it and see it. Okay, how old were you when you started investing?
Well, properly investing, I was probably a bit later on in life. I was about 40, and it was all through really actually from my stepfather. Back in the day, I did waste a lot of money really, and I was especially into my cars, and I had some expensive cars that I put my money into. And then later on I thought, you know, I'm fed up now with cars. I'd like to invest what money I have in something else. So it was my stepfather gave me all the advice and feedback, and that's how I got into it from the age of 40. Ever since till now.
Did you have a lot of cars then? And did you see them as an investment at that point?
Yeah, just that I loved cars, but obviously I knew that they weren't a good investment. I was losing money every time when it came to selling. That's what made me think, how can I invest what money I have now? Are you good with money?
I would say I'm quite good with money. I feel like I'm quite practical with it. I wasn't always good with money. When I was in uni and just trying to like figure out spending and stuff, I was really silly. I had loads of like little part-time jobs, but I used to go out all the time. I just used to spend all my money on like concert tickets and events. But over time, gradually, I got better. I think when I got like my first full-time job and I realised, okay, like I actually need to budget, and I was being paid monthly, that was when I started changing my money habits, I guess.
So it's a bit of a spendthrift at that time.
Yeah, it's like it's been a figuring out process.
I used to be like that, but not too much now.
Some people never get to the rein it in stage, but I feel like it's important to learn. Okay, what's your approach to risk, and has that changed over the years?
I think I'm a lot more careful now in where I want to put my money, you know, especially like in shares, because they can go.
Why have you got more careful about that over time? Were you not always as careful with that?
No, I think because I've had advice from people that have got a lot more experience than what I've had. They've been able to give that feedback to me. So I'm a lot more careful now where I invest my money. What myth about investing needs to be busted?
I think a lot of people think investing is just for rich people. I think there's that perception that you need to have a lot of capital to actually invest. That's not the case. You can invest with any amount of money really and start your investment journey that way.
That's exactly actually what I always thought about that. But as I've got older, I have thought differently. I mean, with having money and everything else. But obviously when I didn't have a lot of money. I always thought it was for rich people. And
People think like just having your money sitting in a bank is like doing the work for you, or having the savings there. I think a lot of people, don't understand the power of investing, I guess.
So what were your initial assumptions around investing?
I didn't understand it at all, really. It wasn't something I initially ever thought that I could do. I think coming from my background, no one in my family would have been an investor or would have understood any of that. It would have been as well, just you need a lot of capital to invest. I didn't really have any kind of knowledge of it growing up.
I was involved in people that knew a lot about investing and said to me, no, you can do it. You don't need lots of money. You can do it, even with a small amount of money. Give it a few years, 5, 10 years.
Yeah, I think social media has really helped that, as in like there's a lot more information, isn't it, available to people. And so even if you didn't come from a household or a background where that's like the normal thing, you can learn about it.
How and when did you first learn about investing?
This is a funny story. I was actually going to a rave and I was on the tube with one of my friends, and we ran into a group of guys who were also going to the rave, and they had made a lot of money from a cryptocurrency, and they were like talking to us about it, and that was the first time I'd ever even heard about that. And then after that I started doing my own research, but I still didn't dip my toe into it at that point. And then an ex-boyfriend of mine, actually, he taught me about investing in more depth. He was really interested in it, and he'd kind of done a lot of research and different things. So he advised me, and then from there I started to do my own research. What type of investments interest you?
Investments definitely for me would be stocks and shares, property, and just sticking my money away in sort of high savings accounts. When I got my second property, I was always told in 5 to 10 years you will feel the benefits.
Stocks and shares is interesting to me. Crypto is also interesting to me. Riskier. It's something I've done a lot of research on. I've listened to a lot of podcasts about. I do err on the side of caution with that, though, I would say.
A little bit of crypto I did many years ago and I lost straight away, and that was advice given me from friends, so crypto never worked for me.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have had that experience.
What matters to you when investing?
I do look at risk and obviously return. Stocks and shares that I've invested in, I've looked at like how they've done in the past. You obviously can't predict, and when you're investing in these things, they tell you that past performance is not an indicator of what it's going to do in the future, but if you try and make calculated risks with it, I guess that's important.
Yeah, definitely you have to watch the risk, what you're investing in.
Yeah.
Definitely that's the biggest thing.
Yeah, and like fees of things. So when you're looking at like investing, you're looking at like fees, all like the hidden kind of costs or charges or different things that you'd have to consider, like later down the line as well, if you're going to take money out or if you were looking to sell, how that would work. What's your approach to investing?
I have many accounts that I have certain monies in. I know which accounts what and what's everything for.
You have a structure.
I
think that's right. Like an important thing with investing as well. It's like having a plan with what you're actually going to do with your money and where you're going to put it. When I was full-time employed, I used to set aside like a set amount of money each month that I would like have for investments. That was kind of my plan or strategy with it. Since I've been freelance, I've not been able to reliably have that set amount each month, but I'm looking to get back to there. So has your approach changed over the years to investing?
It has changed. I know now a lot more with investing, and again what companies to invest by doing homework and looking around at where the best places are to invest. So after everything, what's your takeaway, do you think, of investing?
I'm not going to be investing in fancy cars. I think that's my takeaway. I think it's important to have your money working for you and not just sitting in your bank account. When I learned that's what you can do with investing, it was kind of mind-blowing. What's your takeaway?
My takeaway really is, again, never pay out for expensive cars, definitely. I've had the enjoyment. Do your own research, your own homework, and that's what I'm going to carry on doing.